All right, welcome to The Explainer. Today we're going to tackle a big one, the psychology of division. We're using climate change as our case study to explore why, even when the science is strong, we as people can end up so consistently and so deeply split.
So let's just start with the central puzzle, the big question mark hanging over this whole topic. We have this really strong scientific consensus, right? But public belief, it's split, and it's split right down party lines. So what's the deal here? What does the data actually show us?
Okay, so check this out. If you go back to 2006, the gap between Democrats and Republicans on whether humans are warming the planet was already 25 points. But fast forward just 10 years to 2016, and that gap has absolutely exploded to a huge 46 points. Wow. This isn't just a divide, it's a chasm that's getting wider and wider.
And you think that's a big gap? Well, it gets even more dramatic when you stop asking about belief and start asking about action. Should this be a top policy priority? In 2020, you had 78% of Democrats saying yes, absolutely, but only 21% of Republicans. That's a 57-point difference. It's massive.
So yeah, it's pretty clear this isn't some minor disagreement. The data is screaming at us that there's this huge growing gap in how we see the world. The real question is, what's driving it? To really get what's going on under the hood, psychologists have a prime suspect. It's a powerful theory that kind of pulls back the curtain on how our minds work when we're dealing with these supercharged topics. And that theory is called motivated reasoning. I have a feeling that once you understand how this works, it might just change the way you look at disagreements forever. So what is it? Put simply, it's this idea that our brains don't always act like scientists, objectively searching for the truth. Nope. A lot of the time, our brains act more like lawyers, building the best possible case for a conclusion we already want to be true. And this little lawyer in our head has a playbook, a few key moves. First, it plays favorites with evidence, using confirmation bias to hunt for stuff that supports its case. Second, it uses something called the prior attitude effect, which means it just waves through any friendly information without really checking its ID. But third, and this is crucial, it uses disconfirmation bias. When challenging info comes along, that lawyer turns into a fierce cross-examiner, looking for any little flaw to tear it apart. Okay, but that just brings up another question, right? If we're so motivated to reach a certain conclusion, what is the motivation? What makes a conclusion so desired that our brain will work this hard to defend it? What's the real goal? Well, the research points to these incredibly powerful and usually unconscious goals. A huge one is protecting our social identity. It's less about the facts and more about feeling like we belong to our group, our tribe. We're also wired to want to agree with our friends and family and to hold beliefs that line up with our deepest moral values. These are the things that make a conclusion feel right. And this quote from the research just nails it. A lot of the time, our beliefs are tied to our social survival. Going against your group can threaten those material and emotional ties. Your friends, your family, your community. That's a really, really powerful reason to want to believe what they believe. But here's where this whole story gets really fascinating. Just when you think it's all about tribalism and protecting our team, the research throws us a curveball. Is it really always about just defending our team's jersey? Are we just cheerleaders for our side? Or could something else be going on that just looks like pure bias from the outside? This is where psychologists make a really crucial distinction. There's what we've been talking about, a directional goal, where you're reasoning to defend a belief you already have. But then there's an accuracy goal, a genuine, honest desire to figure out what's correct, no matter what that turns out to be. And here is the absolute kicker. There's this concept called observational equivalence. All that means is that even though the internal motivations are worlds apart, one person is a lawyer for their team, the other is a genuine detective, the final opinion they state can look exactly the same. Just think about it for a second. Someone who is genuinely trying to be accurate might just trust different experts. Maybe they trust their party leaders more than they trust scientists. As part of their truth-seeking, they might be really skeptical of info from the other side. And what's the end result? They land in the exact same spot, holding the exact same belief as the person who is just trying to defend their team identity. You can't tell them apart from the outside. So where does all this leave us? If you can't tell the difference between someone being biased and someone being genuinely skeptical, then the old strategy of just, throwing more facts at people, well, that might not work at all. What this research really suggests is a pretty radical shift.
Maybe we need to stop focusing only on the information we're trying to share and start getting curious about the underlying goal of the person we're talking to. Are they trying to protect their identity? Or are they genuinely trying to get it right, but just using a different roadmap and trusting different guides to get there?
And that brings us to our final thought, a question to chew on. In this world that feels so divided, what if the best way to build a bridge isn't to yell our facts louder? What if instead it's to get a little quieter and start asking not what people believe, but why it's so important for them to believe it?